Start. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the subject on sourcing. Now, let me say first explain around the subject sourcing. So, when we talk of sourcing, it means organizations are attempting to acquire goods and services to accomplish their goals. Every organization has a goals. So, those goals you convert them into goods and services and you attempt to acquire them. Now, if you look at the historical way over the last 25 years, 30 years, more and more companies, the bigger you are, more you are outsourcing it. As I always say, around any automobile company you look around in India, 80% of their sales revenue come from procurement. So the sourcing is becoming a very popular thing. Everybody wants to source, but source is one step before procurement. You source it, then you make a contract, and then becomes a thing. So source is one step. That's what I said in the beginning. It's an attempt to acquire goods and services. Well, friends, with this, let me start what the scope of today's presentations. The agenda for today I have kept up is, first thing is analyze potential sources. That's the very first thing. You want to analyze the potential sources of goods and services. Evaluate competitive offerings. You get many offerings around to determine the overall best offer for a goods and service. And then the last bullet, which is about, is plan and communicate sourcing and supply strategies. You got the forecasted data. I'm a little bit calling more like a strategic sourcing. That means you got the forecasted data. Based on that, you're trying to build up and communicate your sourcing and supply strategy. So this is broadly what we're going to talk about. Now let me start with the overview of the sourcing around. Here you can see very clearly that I've tried to put the definition. Sourcing is a process that all of us should know around. It's a process of identifying sources that could provide needed goods and our services. There's another term called sourcing cycle. Sometimes we call procurement cycle. Sometimes I call sourcing cycle. I'm slowly avoiding the term procurement. To me, procurement has already evolved. Procurement has become supply management. Procurement is becoming slowly SCM. So here I'm trying to call the sourcing cycle. So the sourcing cycle has got 8 steps. Obviously, any sourcing starts with the needs. Somebody recognize the needs. Okay, this is what we need for running our office. This is what we need to run our company. The needs could be based on the forecast, or the needs could be very reactive. Somebody makes a request to you with the specification. Somebody gives you terms of reference of the consultants, the scope of the work of the consultants. So the needs is defined. Then the next step we do is specifications. So the needs are there. I need this item. Then somebody has to convert the needs into clear specification. And specification means which really reflects the quality part, the quantity part, and when do you need it. So that also is part of the broadly specification. Then comes the search for potential sources. You're trying to search them. Then you try to analyze them. And after analyzing, you're trying to negotiate them. And after negotiation, you're selecting the guy. Okay, this is the best one, and this is where we want to stay. It could be one supplier, could be many suppliers. We'll talk about those strategy later on. So once you identify, then you make a contract administration. You evaluate the performance, and then you collect the feedback, which helps you for the next time. But in this chain, you might be buying sometime items which are not required. Some item may be scrap, some may be below the qualities. So those disposal part also is a part of the chain. So you can see around the sourcing definition and then the sourcing cycle. Some people may call procurement cycle, I'm calling as a sourcing cycle. So that's what it means. We also talked some time back about strategic sourcing. So the strategic sourcing is a long-term thing based on the forecast, and these are very popular 7 steps. So based on those 7 steps, you make a long-term arrangements. So you start with the problems, your needs, identification, sourcing strategies, request for proposal, distribution, supplier selection, contract development and negotiation, and last is managing the contract. So that's what the whole chain comes. Strategic mean it becomes a long term. That's what we call, sometimes we call sourcing, some people call strategic sourcing. And based on this, you do P2P. So once you have made the long term arrangement with suppliers, then you follow this with P2P, that is purchasing to payments. Now coming back to the sourcing strategies, I'm just trying to set the scene first. Now single sourcing, as you all know very well, you depend on a single company for all or nearly all of an item or a service. Particular service, okay guys, legal service will go to this, procurement service will go to this, these items will buy from this. So you have identified one supply source. So single sources you have decided based on your long-term contract. Multiple sourcing, you share its business across multiple suppliers. You don't want to put all the eggs into one basket and say, guys, let me have multiple sourcing. Cross sourcing means you buy from one, but you have somebody at the backup. When the need goes more than the capacity of the first one, you go to the second one. Dual mean you're given to 2 suppliers. Guys, okay, I want to keep them. Competition is not a multiple, it's only 2, but they compete each other. If one doesn't behave well, then you can go to the second one. We also know the weighted point evaluation system. All supply sources, all vendors. Here again, I want to clarify the term supplier and vendor. When I started my career, yes, supplier, vendor, all were same thing around. So here, I will say with the today's definition, supplier is a potential suppliers. But technically, if you go with the ERP systems like SAP and Oracle, when you becomes given a business to you and you get listed into their system, you become a vendor. So there's a difference between. So supply is a potential and vendor means you are ready and you are preferred and ready for doing business. Purpose of the weighted point, you know very well that when we do the evaluation of the suppliers, even after the task or before hiring them, we give weightage to various points around. Weightage could be the past performance, weightage could be price, weightage could be quality, weightage could be technologies. And based on that, we try to rank them and give them the total score. There's a word called crowdsourcing. You might have heard this word around many times. Somebody is doing this work for you. Some contractor is doing the work for you. You want to give it to the whole world. Guys, okay, come on, help us. Do this. So you're trying to give to the crowd. That's what the word crowdsourcing. Sometimes this costs more than the traditional methods, but in few cases one has to do it. When there's a big demand, there's a big crisis, then you may like to do it. Now single versus multiples, as I said in the beginning, single vendors gives advantage and gives disadvantage also. Once you have a single vendor, vendor has a confidence level with you, vendor gives you share all the information with you, but sometimes vendors could also take advantage of it. In those situations, it depends on the culture in the country and culture of the suppliers. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You say, guys, if this guy ditches me, I'm back to square one. So this is where the gap could come up. Now let's start with the very first bullet, analyzing potential sources. So when we talk of analyzing potential sources, first thing is to analyze your supply base. You all have a supply base. Based on your past experience, you have a supply base. So that supply base, you want to analyze it. I have got, let's say, 2,000 suppliers with me on my system. Are they doing a good job, bad jobs? Some are not performing. Should I keep them? Should I have some exit strategies for them? That's what we call the supply base. Then we talk of nature of sources. and its impact. So the type of sources we have and their impact on our business. Another thing comes existing versus new suppliers. You know the word is evolving. The life of any organization is not more than 25 years. So if companies are not really changing with the time, others takes over. And new companies are coming up, new enterprises are coming up, new startups are coming, and some of them have got a much smarter product, smarter technology. So you also want to take the benefit of them. So once you want to take the benefit of the new, then naturally existing will go out and the new will take over. So that's the process, that's the evolution process of this. So let me walk through each one of them. So when we talk of supply analysis, base analysis, so it all depends on the degree of competition. If you have made up your mind from the organization top to bottom that guys, for every item we will have a single source. We want to build up the loyalty program. We want to increase the volumes. We want to get a volume discounts. Then obviously your competition is nothing but you find the single source, end of it. But if you feel no guys, I want competition all the time. If I have one, I will never get a best price. So then you have full and open competition all the time. But then you think, guys, I'm wasting too much time in doing full and open competitions. You know the government, all public sectors, they always love to go for full and open. A job which can be done in 6 days takes them 6 months. So next one is limited competition. This guy, no. I will shortlist few suppliers on a regular basis and I only compete between the limited one. Then come the technical competition where you have some choices are very limited. There's a patent for that. I want to buy the transmission box of for my car. There are few suppliers. They have their own patents. I can't go to the whole world. So naturally there's a technical competition. Then there's a single source. Sole source means there's only one in the market who can meet your requirements. If you're making a computer, you need an Intel chip. There's only one sole source. Multiple source means call for using 2 or more suppliers for same or similar product around. So that's what around. Next come the nature of sources. Now I'm touching these points which I'm sure you must be discussing sometime. Manufacturers versus distributor. I have got this issue very commonly. Recently we were doing a project for somebody for the health sectors. They were buying from distributors. They were buying from agent all the health machinery, whether it's an X-ray machine or whether it's any scanning machine or whatever MRI equipment, whatever you talk around, and distributors. Even the syringes were coming from distributors. The first question comes, why we are buying from distributor? Distributor is not doing without their own margins. Why can't we buy from manufacturers? What are the issues around? So keep in mind there are some items where some places manufacturers, some places distributors. Let's if I want to buy lab equipment, lab supplies. Obviously my requirements, if it is too small, manufacturers will never cater for me. I have to go to the distributors. MRO items, maintenance, repair, operation items. If I'm working in a company, I'm dealing with MRO items, I have no choice except go to the distributors. But the preference will go to the manufacturers and then some places distribute. Then comes, should I take a large versus small suppliers? So this could be again issues around the large companies. Your business may be a very small part of them, maybe 0.5%. They may not even care for you. But a small suppliers, for whom it could be 50% of your business could be 50% for them, for their survival. They may do anything what you want in terms of changes, in terms of improvements, anything around. It happens more with the services industries around. You're trying to hire somebody for consulting. You give to a very big companies, but that company will send you a fresh intern to do the job, while a small company may send a very senior person to do the job. So keep in mind there's a large versus small supplier. The next come is the national versus local supplier. I'm based in the north, I'm finding in northern supply. I'm based in the south, I'm finding near the Chennai around. Or am I looking at the national level? So you have to see there's a delivery cost, there's a timing involved, all those factors around. International versus domestic. The world is becoming very fast global. There are no boundaries for the goods. You can buy the goods from any part of the world except you have to pay duty, that's all. But there's no restriction until there's a government to government restriction. Otherwise, in principle, there's no restriction. In those situations, the globalization has increased the path for you, but added some more restriction as well. One on the custom, then currencies, then other issues as well. So we leave it to you depending on the complexity, depending on the quality, depending on the price. You may like to adopt one or another method. But when we are doing this international one, exchange rate is a major one and is very unpredictable. Sometime back, like Indian dollar exchange rate was, I came to India in 5 years back, I was having around close to 50, 49. Today it is 68. So exchange rate is also changing around. Payment processes. Do I have to pay with letter of credit or with a bill of exchange and all that? The duties you know very well, you have to pay the duties. Transportation cost is enormous. Within India's, because I was attending a workshop some time back, organized by SHM, transportation cost is around 14 to 15% of the goods within India, depending from where you buy it. So it's a big time and the cost is big. So one has to cut down. And more the transportation time, let's say I'm importing from a very far off place, then if it's coming from the US, it takes a month by sea. I have to keep inventory into my pipeline to cater that. So your inventory cost also goes up. So when you're trying to do the landed cost, look into this factor. That means with the delay, you have to have higher inventory. Another problem which comes up with international is what law is applicable. If there's a dispute, there's a breach. In those situations, where do I go? And the UN has set up this convention for international sales of goods. It does not cover services. Again, only 60 countries have ratified this. All the countries are still not using it. So there's a possibility India has signed this convention, but your partner with whom you're buying, where you're selling, have they signed this agreement or not? Nature of sources. That's another part comes up, mandatory sources of supply. From a subsidiary of a company, that means you have a company which is owned by your own managements, belongs to your families, and naturally you're going to buy from the subsidiary of the company, you're stuck. Emergency sources. Suddenly there's an emergency, the fire in, like in Uttarakhand we were hearing a few days back, you need item on an urgent basis. Then there's another focus which comes up sometime to promote economically deprived people, minorities, women's. So those are also given some preferences around. So those factors one has to look into this. Cooperative and consortium buying. Sometimes you have got 6 or 7 units buying similar items, let's say 7 hospitals, they combine together their requirements. So naturally the volume goes bigger. When the volume goes bigger, the price is better and everybody gets benefit. So one could be cooperative approach. So when I was in the UN, so within UN we had many organizations like World Health Organization, UNICEF, UNDP, all will pool the requirements, negotiate the contract on a collective basis, but each one buys separate. But in a consortium, someone buys on behalf of others and takes their own management fee. I remember one guy, he used to come to us. He started his business in this areas around. He deals with 7, 8 hospitals. He pools the requirements and he procures and then gives it to them. Joint ventures. Obviously, two companies have joined together. They say, guys, it's too much running after the suppliers, and it's a supplier market. It's not the buyer's market. Say, guys, let's make a joint venture so I don't have to run after each one. So each one has got its own pros and cons. So you have to look at it. Internal versus external sources. That's another thing, which is like a make and buy. Should I do it in-house or should I go outside? The concept which is evolving today is more and more people are trying to focus on core things. What is my core strength? Focus on that. If something I can outsource, let others do for me. I remember in organization we had around, the major objective was something else, development activities, but then we had an IT team of 100 people. Then later on the new manager came and says, guy, why we are spending time on this? Give it, outsource it. That's not our core strength. Our core strength is developing the programs, developing other activities around. So people are trying to focus on what they feel they are strong, and anything else they say, guys, let others do it. Go to any automobile company. They are trying to outsource logistics. They say, that is not my strength. Let somebody else do for me. Outsourcing. That's what the focus is around. Existing versus new suppliers. Obviously, the major considerations are the market conditions, product complex, and I'm having difficulty with existing suppliers. Technologies have changed. My previous technology was based on LCD or LED, and then now somebody else has come with a much better technologies. I want to go with that. Urgency of needs, quality expectations, obviously. So customer is changing very fast. And since you have to, it's a customer-driven economy, you also have to change it. Supplier processes and adequacy of competitions around. If there's a big competition available and things are fine, then you would like to go with the new suppliers. Another issue which you look around in the existing versus new is the cost versus value of sources. In the past, I think our preference has been to look at the price alone. It is not the price alone, it is the cost. So we look at total cost of ownership. That means if I get this part, even if it costs me 10% in the price, but the operation cost may be lower, so I look at the TCO part. Long-term needs, long-term relationship. My existing supplier is not interested to make a long-term relationship. With a new source, I could do it. Supply base optimization. You have a supply base. I've got 2,000 suppliers. Any CEO, when they join, they say, guys, can we optimize it? From 2,000, can we bring it to 500? 500 means first thing is managing is easier. Supplier finds more loyalty with you. Their volume goes up. They can focus on qualities, service delivery, and cost factors. The next comes change in supplier organization. The company was doing very well, but suddenly company has been acquired by somebody. They don't care for your company business. Relationships are changed. You again have to change it. Supplier continuity. I've given a business to someone, but that supplier does not really manage their business continuity. My supplier is based in another country. Suddenly some earthquake or tsunami or something comes up. Do they have a business continuity plan? If something floods comes up, am I assured of my delivery? If I'm not assured of my delivery, there's a big disruption in my assembly line. That's what it calls about news sources. Internet-based searches, so you know very well how you do it on the Google, Thomas registers, trade shows, peer benchmarking. So those are the ways you can find these news sources around. Next comes evaluation of offers. So when we're trying to evaluate, we're trying to look at what decision matrix I should do. I could have simple 4 points around the management of the company, financial managements, are the company making loss or profit, past references, and quality they meet my expectations. I could make it very simple, but I have seen companies. I did work for one of the American companies when I was there in Singapore a month back. For doing supplier health analysis, they had 165 questions. So those questions don't think simple way, they lead to many parameters. So some people really do in a very detailed way. Receiving of the offers, controlling of the offers, analyzing the offers. And next come offer responsiveness. The offer what they've given us, are they responsive to me? Do they meet my expectations? Technical analysis, operational analysis. I'll deal a little more on this in the subsequent slides, but the objective of evaluation is evaluate competitive offerings to obtain the overall best offer for a person. So let me go point by point now. The decision matrix. So you can score them. So when who get, and you can have a weighted criteria that said you in the earlier stage. Each criteria can be linked to a question in the RFP. Say your request for proposal says, guys, we are looking for a company who is financially strong. Then you come up with a question relating to that. You say, guy, I want delivery within 1 week. Create a question or create a criteria linking with that. So that's how you do around. The scores are total. You could give for each attribute some score from 1 to 5, 1 to 10, then add them up, and then you say, guys, this company gives me better matrix score compared to others. But keep in mind, as I was saying, if some company has got 165 or 180 questions, to analyze them, you really need a cross-functional team. I mean, procurement people or supply chain people alone can't do it. They need people from engineering, they need people from quality, they need people from production, all sit together and do this review part. In short, what I'm saying, in the years to come, supply function is becoming a cross-functional. Next comes receiving, controlling, analyzing. Obviously, in the case of private sectors, you can receive by emails, you can have ERFX. In the public sector, there's a difference around. Depending on the dollar figures, depending on the amounts, depending on formalities, either they are to come in a sealed offer or they are to come in a computerized ERFX, but then nobody can access it till the due date is there. Integrity of the process is very important, much more in the public sectors. In the private sector is all about how best I can get the deal. You have to record the time, date when it was received, review the submission for completeness. Is the submission complete or not? If not, if you are in the private sector, you say, guys, your submission is incomplete, can you send us some more information? In public sector, we'll reject them. We'll say, guys, you're not responsive. Review each response for clarities. Retain all the documents for each respondent. Begin response evaluation process. And then the total cost of evaluation, we look at it. When we say responsiveness, this word, the very first thing is, are they meeting my specification? If they're not meeting my specification, I'm looking for a computer screen of 17-inch. The guy is quoting me 14-inch. Naturally, they're not responsive. I'm saying a delivery of 24 hours. The guy is giving me in 24 days, not responsive. So responsiveness means, are they meeting my expectation? Terms and conditions. I have got my own terms and conditions from my office. We call them as a boilerplate. Are they willing to accept it? Are they coming with too many complexities around? We say we will not buy on letter of credit, and the supplier says we will not sell you anything without LC. So there may be many issues around, one needs to work it out. Then we are coming with some buyers will not consider alternative until you allow them. Sometimes people say, guys, let me be innovative. Let me say, guys, you can give us our offer, plus you can give also alternative offers. So maybe the alternative offer may be wonderful. It may cut your costs, improve your technologies. So use of technical proposal unpriced. So sometime what happens is we hire a company. Can you help us to make the bidding documents for us? Can you help us to make RFP? And the same company or their subsidiary is competing also. So that is unfair, is unethical, I would call. Next comes technical and operational analysis. Now the technical analysis means when the offers are there, you want to analyze technically. As I said, it's a cross-functional thing. So one has to get a team which comprise of experts from various departments. Operational analysis. You want to see the system, you want to see the economics of the company, you want to see the ease of use, you want to see the functional feasibility, you want to make a site visits, you want to make employee morale, the company whom you are contracting. You don't want to after contract the company goes on a strike. What type of employees they have? Do they have a good morale or not? Do they follow with the laws of the societies and the particular like child labors and those issues around? So they are not misusing it. Cost and price analysis. There are different ways. So you have a benchmark, you have a market price, you analyze the price. Because sometimes suppliers can join hands and push up the price. But you know your benchmark. You know the history of the market price. Then you say, guys, okay, it meets mine. Second is, you say, guys, you come up with the cost detail, plus let's say profit margin is 10%, that's the price. We are not questioning. Whatever the details you have, give us the cost detail. If cost detail makes sense, add profit margin of 10% or 15%, whatever is yours. Based on that, we contract. So we also look at the saving part. If I go this way, what savings I'm trying to bring in? Total cost versus price. So keep in mind, as I said to you in the beginning, total cost of ownership, price is only one component, nothing more than that. Now coming back to another same cost and price analysis, there's a word called life cycle costing. In short, I would say life cycle costing is not different than TCO, except we use it normally for assets. You buy an asset, you buy a big machinery, you buy a big equipment for the hospitals. But after the life is over, or 5 years or 10 years, you dispose them off. So there's an operational cost, there's a disposal things. So put together, the disposal becomes your income. You say, guys, this versus this, which one is better? You also do the cost analysis, I said to you, the labor cost, overhead cost, ask for the details. Otherwise, you are only comparing 5 or 4 offers, and then you are saying this is the best price, but chances are there, as I said to you, those 4 might have joined hands. So you have to do your costing as well. The next come offer capability part, responsibility. When we look at somebody's capability, the very first thing is the past performance. You hire somebody, you look at the CV, which company this person has worked. So the past performance is always the first yardstick. And then the next we always look around is capacity to take undertake. If the company is already utilized up to 100%, even 110% with overtime and this. Now, if you are giving a business to them, you are in trouble. Skills to manage the specific products. Do they have the skills? Next come integrity in past business dealing. Next one is time and business, certifications, financial factors, obviously reference. Many companies, They will not give a contract until they have checked the references around. Here I will go with the transportation term. I'll walk fast because we are covered in many of the earlier webinars. So transportation is all about Incoterms. That means international commerce terms around. Now, international commerce terms, they have been developed by ICC, International Chambers of Commerce. So there are 11 terms, and nowadays even this one, I think from the 2010, I can say they can be used also for domestic transportation. So although the name is Incoterms, IEM stands for international, but they can be used for domestic as well. Now, when we talk of Incoterms, it basically answers all these questions around. You can see 11 questions. If you have to make a contract, you will have to write all these in 11 questions around. But if you have Incoterms with 3 letters, so nice that it answers all these questions around. Who furnishes the goods? Who packages? Who moves it? Who arranges for export clearance and this? Who takes care of main carriage? Who pays for the main carriage? Who insures for the shipment? Who pays for the import duties? All these questions are answered by those 3 letters. So keep in mind, they're very useful. So all your contracts, all your POs, they must be reflected. Again, I'm leading to the goods only, not for services. So there used to be in Incoterms 13 terms, they have been narrowed down to 11. So you can see there are 2 colors as shown, marine restricted. Some are purely meant for the marine applications, other are omni-modal. If you look around today, everything is omni-modal, multi-channel. So when you're doing multi-channels, I would say those are the ones which should be used for everything. Now other factors when we look around, availabilities. Do goods and services currently exist? The lead time, logistical concern, supplier diversities, business continuity plan, and lastly, information security. That's also very important around the security for the information. Next comes sourcing and supply strategy. Now, first thing comes the buying strategies. Financial tools. Which are the financial tools? I will talk about hedging and dollar average, forecast of volumes, factors in selection of method of procurement. So the key objective in this is to plan and communicate sourcing and supply strategy based on forecasted data. This one I want you, each one of you to remember. It's called portfolio analysis. It's also based on Peter Krasnick model. It's also called 2x2 matrix. So you divide the complete procurement into 4 boxes, 2x2 matrix, using 80-20. So we call routine items, we call leverage item, we call critical item, bottleneck item. So I would say each one of you should know this around. So when I talk of critical quadrant, the one you saw on the top, what strategy we need to follow, what tactics we need to have, and what actions are required. So strategy means, critical means high values, high risk. The risk becomes higher when you get less suppliers. Our technology is very difficult. So those become the risky things around. You are trying to strategies to make partnership. Tactic is, keep in mind, strategy is a roadmap, long-term plan. Tactic is how to reach it, how to do it. So increase the role of a selected supplier. The action which are required is a heavy negotiation. So all items which fall into the critical box need a lot of negotiations around. Bottleneck items, your job is to ensure continuity. You don't want things to get stuck. So the tactics would be decrease the uniqueness. You might have designed a so complex design, make it simple, make it off-the-shelf design. Widen the specs, increase competition. Otherwise, you are in the hand of 1 or 2. Leverage one. Here you got many choices. You spend high expenditures, large marketplace, maximize the commercial advantage. Tactics are concentrate business, maintain competition. Same way we got for the routine items, low value items, many choices available around. The objective should be to cut the cost of procurement. Use e-catalog. That's the way to do it. Coming back to the buying strategies around spot buying, you all know very well. Suddenly there's a crisis. You go to the spot, on the spot, on open market and buy it. Buying to requirements. So buying to requirements mean advanced purchases are made for use and which are going to be procured used in 3 weeks to 3 months. Forward buying. Sometimes you buy you know very well the market may change. There could be problem with the suppliers. You want to buy for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months. You buy in advance because there are possibility of inflation. You know the budget is coming in the month of 31st before March end. You say, okay, let me stock it. Buy it in advance. That's a forward buy. You buy in advance. But then there's the speculative part. The speculating is also like a forward, but the purpose here is different. In a case of forward buying, I'm doing it for my own purpose, to cut the cost of my manufacturing. Speculating is purely I buy it, and later on when the prices are really shoot up, I sell it. It's all about speculation. Based on speculation, you buy something and later on sell it. That's more of a trading actually. Now here come the buying strategies. Volume purchase agreement. If you really need a big volumes around, you could make a volume purchase agreement. You say, guys, I need around, my office is very big, I need around 100,000 laptops in a year. You make an agreement with Dell directly. Say, guys, okay, we are going to buy from you in a staggered fashion, but my requirement is around 100,000 laptops in a year. So naturally you get a better pricing. But if you don't make an agreement, today you buy 10, next day you buy 20, then you buy 30, you're paying a higher price. So volume, price, agreement. So keep in mind this one. Life of product supply. Some item you're buying is a very short shelf life. Just in time. All of you know this concept came from Toyota was the first one in Japan. So that means you are assuring the things comes only in time when you need it, not before that. So when you need, things are there. So the key purpose is to cut down the waste. So waste in manufacturing systems and improving quality. So that's what it means around. But real life, I agree with you. We have to keep only that much minimum stock, which I know if my lead time is going to take 1 day, I need a stock of a day. But those countries which infrastructure is very well developed, systems are very well developed, just in time is real just in time. I've seen the company with 1 hour just in time also. Items come, if it's going to be assembled at 2 o'clock, items comes at 1 o'clock. So that's how it is. Buying strategies, consignments. Consignment means this is an agreement with the supplier to stock inventory at buyer's place. So the supplier is making it and then they stock it at your company, but the risk is also managed by the supplier. Although the goods are lying in your factory, but they take the risk around and they don't appear in your cost even. Even you don't reflect them into your inventory. It's the inventory of the supplier. Except they are lying in your office, your factory. When you need, you just pick them up. That's what we call consignment. There's a word called commodities. Commodity mean which are natural product. Like gold, oil, coffee. These are all nickel, chromiums. These are commodities. And these commodities have a market is very dynamic, changes very fast, depends on demand and supply. You know very well, like the oil. going from $120 per barrel to $30 per barrel. Exchanges, there are exchanges for them around, like for London Metal of Exchange. There are many places around. I can go and check what is the rate today. Terminologies. So then they can be a cash commodity or spot commodity. Cash is for the future, spot mean and the immediate deliveries around. Supplier replenishment system. First one you saw the consignment part where supplier is stocking in your place. It is not becoming your part of inventory but is reflected by the supplier. Replenishment mean you have a minimum stock. And it is the supplier responsibility to, whenever the information goes to them that the item has gone below the minimum level or reached the minimum level, supplier replenishes it. So outsourcing, I think I talked earlier, make and buy decisions. Forward buying, you're buying again for the futures. You know very well market is going to go up. Exchange may change, that you're buying in, let's say, in dollars. While you're based in India, if dollar becomes stronger, means after 3 months when the delivery happens, in rupees term, you have to pay more rupees. So that's what we're trying to see around. Although it's a financial issue, but still procurement people have to bring this issue with finance. So they need to have a knowledge of it. There's a dollar averaging also. Let me explain a little further on this. The dollar averaging means I'm buying, let's say, 10,000 pieces in a year. I'm buying after every month. So it could be 10,000 divided by 12, but the prices might be going up and down. So then I change my distribution such a way that my impact on dollar is less. Particularly if I'm importing from US or from foreign country which is dealing in dollars, I would like to spread such a way around that my dollar average is lower. Let me explain a little more on the forward part. Before that, I think the timing of purchase is very important. Are we buying in just in time? Are we buying in push methods? Push mean I'm trying to have more inventories at every place. Pull mean the customer is driving it. Like Dell example is very clear. Customer goes online, I need this. Then you create the inventory. Not the other way around. That you dump the inventory and then you tell guys, okay, I have a big stock around. According to the market conditions, speculating, forward, hand to mouth. So let me go back to this hedging part and the dollar averaging. Hedging, dollar averaging, contracting. So these first two are basically to save your exchange fluctuation. Exchange may be going up or down. You want to save it. You take the impact of that. Now let me take an example. Let's take the forward contract. Now these are foreign exchange contracts certainly when you're dealing abroad. When you're dealing within the country, this does not apply. Now we have a market maker banks. They will sell foreign currency forward. They will buy foreign currency forward. Market maker banks will quote exchange rate today at which they will carry out these forward transactions. You say, guys, my delivery will happen after 60 days. And you don't want to take a risk. The dollar may become double stronger than rupee. You say, guys, I want to mitigate my risk around. So the bank will give you the rates. The market maker banks will give you the rate. After 60 days, this is the rate for buying and this is the rate for selling. So let me example quote it this way. I've taken two examples around. Example 2 is for procurement. Example 1 is for selling. There's an Indian company is expected to receive 200,000 UK pound in 60 days. You place an order. So after 60 days, you're going to get the money because after delivery, our payment terms are like that. But UK pound, you know very well, may depreciate. It may or may not, but that is your forecast. So what to do for offsetting the risk of receiving less amount? I'm based in India, I'm getting in rupees. So those 200,000 UK pound, which I might have planned today's rate, at the rate of 100, Then after 60 days it becomes 85. You can imagine how much I'm going to lose it. Same case when you take around the example 2, I'm an Indian firm, I have to pay $400,000 because I'm buying from a supplier, American supplier, in 30 days. The goods have come, but my payment terms are 30 days. I'm going to pay in 30 days. Now, if I do it after 30 days and I go to the bank, the rate may be different and today's may be lower, and I want to protect it. I want to offset it. That's what it means around. So if I take the second example, so Indian firm decides to want to hedge this foreign exchange transaction exposure. So there's exposure of the risk. It goes to the market maker bank and requests a 30 days forward quote. Say, guys, give me forward quote on the US dollar, rupee versus US dollar. The market gives you the market maker banks give you US dollar versus 66, 68. It means market maker will buy US dollar in 30 days for Indian rupees this, will sell you at 68. So it depends on that you have to do. If you're selling one rate, if you're buying, it's a different rate. So that way you're protected. You're not living in uncertainty. You're trying to save your cost around. Coming on the forecasting of volumes. Now when we talk of forecasting of volumes, obviously you know the annual requirements. You know your last year's data. You also know the country's budget. You know the mood of the people around. You know the GDP growth, what is happening around. Public buying capacities, how it is going up. You know the life cycle of the product also. If the product was done 8 months back, if I'm dealing with mobile phone, you know very well this product has lost its life. So the new product has to come. So I should not be buying too much for the old model. Same thing happen in automobile also. The life is maximum 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. It changes. So you have to go product by product. You may have 20 models. You have to see which model I should do the forecasting, which one is going to go low. So you can't add just based on the last year data. You might have come up with one model last year's. So during that you made a wonderful sale, but does not mean you just add 10% to forecast this year. So the life cycle is very important. Short-term need, long-term need, all that factors will affect your things around. Now coming to the next, factors for selection of procurement methods. I will take two broad methods which are used in the private sectors. One is negotiation. I've got multiple choices and second case I've got no choice at all. Very few choices around. If I've got few choices, I will do the negotiation part. If I've got multiple choices, it's a buyer's market. You will say, guys, let me do competitive bidding, get the best deal. So competitive bidding is preferred if market is of large suppliers. If products are very standard, not non-standard. If it's a non-standard product, very special product, very unique technologies, you will not do competitive bidding. You will go for negotiation. Like if I have to buy the chip for my computers, I will not do competition. I'm wasting my time. I'll go down to Intel or someone's and negotiate. Factors for selection of procurement methods. Obviously, urgency is very important. If it's very urgent, you're going to negotiate, end of it. Dollar value, how big it is, how cost it is. Low value, high values, nature of products, type of contract desired. Do you want to make a fixed price contract? Then certainly competitive bidding is very important. Frequency of buying. If you're going to buy on a regular basis, particularly MRO items, some item you need on a repetitive basis. So those which are required on a repetitive basis, naturally you want to take the volume discount, use blanket orders, use system contracts. Customer requirements. Sometimes customer says, I want only this item made of so and so. You have no choices. So customer has basically dictated the requirements. Other factor which count the procurement method is the lead time, level of flexibility required, buyer-seller opportunities, and lastly the risk. So keep in mind the risk is also important around. Well, friend, with this again I want to thank you for the patient hearing. Enjoy the day. Now, as I said to you, this will be followed by 2 poll questions. I look forward how much you have picked up from the discussions. And then we could have later on, if any questions, you can raise your hand or we could do the chatting. Or if not, send me an email. We'll be happy to do it. Thanks again. Enjoy the day.